That will make things a little more accepting here. You all forgive me, just a second here. And I am ready. Okay. Welcome, beloved, to this edition of Hear, O Yah. Is I is or is I ain't? Your brother, Gidon Ben Yasharal. Where's all the children at? Hurry up and get them children. Where's Big Mama? Where's Pawpaw? Go out into the highways and the byways and bring all the kinfolk around the television set. Why? Because we have a special. That's right, we have a special program designed specifically with you in mind. But of course, the views and opinions expressed are those of me, a po-colored country boy, cotton picker, by way of Israel, and the panelists that Yah has set, but not those of Comcast, their management, advertisers, or affiliates. And of course, there is a mature verbiage alert. Because we deal with mature subject matter, sometimes it just makes you want to cuss. Today's program title is, drum roll please. All right, Debtor's Prison. Debtor's Prison. What do I mean by that? I want y'all to call, I want you to fire the lines up, as Derek Bozeman would say. You know, I was looking at this assassination of this beautiful brother, Walter Scott. Pfleger, the killer dog police in South Kakalaki, stopped this man, and as it turns out, it was an illegal stop. He stopped him for a broken tail light. Why was it illegal? Because in South Kakalaki, you don't need to have but two tail lights. He had two, one in his rear window and the other one in his tail was working. So he had made an illegal stop. But the story goes on where this killer dog, Pfleger, along with many... Huh? Slager. I thought it was an F. Well, he's a Slager killer dog. Became the killer that he was when the brother ended up fleeing from the scene. The question is very vague and obscure as to why he fled. But we know what it is. It is a situation where a killer dog police confronts a brother and the brother's life is instantly at hand and in danger, and he's in fear for his life. But the plea of the police is that all they need to do is think that they're in fear of their life, and they have a right to shoot you down. And we used to say like a dog, but they won't kill dogs like they kill us. They kill us worse than dogs. Woo. But guess what? You support them in doing this, and I'm going to explain to you why. See, the issue that came up after this killer dog, Slager, pulled up brother Walter Scott's background, that he was, count them, 18 stacks. 18 grand behind in what? Child support. It is an issue that is pervasive in the society. It is an issue that is at the very heart of the destruction of our families. Because guess what? Our women are complicit. Not only are they complicit in the sexual act, we're not talking about rapists. We're talking about consensual sex on more than one occasion. But guess what? All it takes is one for that egg to be fertilized in the releasing of the sperm, for two adults to conceive a child. And what have the daughters of Zion, the beauty of our people in the flesh, what have they done? Continually and consistently turned over. Just like when we enslaved and they have a runaway slave, what do? They go to master. Master, he running away. And what do? They run to their white master and tell them to go get this brother and many others. What I did was I Googled this question. I didn't get the answer, but I got an answer. How many brothers, black men so-called, are incarcerated for child support as well as domestic violence? I couldn't find the answer, but I'm going to read to you what I did find. The numbers are staggering. Mama and them have been putting us behind jail. Not behind jail. They want to put us under the jail, in the jail, go through. We ain't going through the jail, though. We staying in. It's sticking and staying because the power that they have been given by white supremacy. What I want you to understand is that black women, so-called, vote more than white women. They are the number one participant in this corrupt, vile system electoral process than any other demographic. It's already been released. Let me show you what I'm talking about. First of all, the title of the show, Debtor's Prison. Let's define debt. According to Black's Law Dictionary, the 5th edition, okay. This is Whitey's Law right here, but in Black's Dictionary. You there? It says this: debt, a sum of money due by certain and express agreement, a specified sum of money owing to one person from another, one person to another, including not only obligation of debtor to pay, but right of creditor to receive and enforce. This is what they want. This is where they got us right here. And enforce payment. But check this out. It goes on to say, a fixed and certain obligation to pay money or some other valuable thing or things, either in the present or in the future. In a still more general sense, that which is due from one person to another, whether money, goods, or services. In a broad sense, any duty to respond to another in money, labor, service. It may even mean a moral or honorary obligation, unenforceable by legal action. Also, sometimes the existing claims against a person or company, thus we speak of national debt, the bonded debt of a corporation. Now, many of you may not even know that not only has the law created this new law that makes corporations people. A corporation is a person. But America is what? The #1 debtor nation. See, what goes around comes around. The very legal action that they have placed on us ultimately is going to come back on them. But it's coming from a higher court. It's coming from the court of Yah our Elohim in the name of his anointed son Yeshua, and they going to pay this debt. But they're already paying the debt that they owe England. But what are they paying it through? Us. Their prison industrial complex. The black man that so-called has been freed has never been freed. And our women, unwittingly and wittingly, been co-conspirators in the incarceration, murder, and debauchery of white men against us in this system. Let me show you what I'm talking about back here. What I did when I Googled black men in America, the percentage of black men incarcerated in jail, you know, I want to give big ups to WAOK. It is the voice of the people, the boss, Gene Ross, Rick Caffey, and all of them who now have a talk show lineup that's bar none the best on radio. They started off with Dr. F. Keith Slaughter. I definitely place my order every time he comes. It's the movement. They follow that up with Rashard Richie, with the realest man in talk radio. They follow up with the sellout Al Sharpton. I say sellout because he tells us to vote for white supremacy and then turn around and benefit off of us fighting against these killers that continue to operate in injustice against us. Then they follow that up with your big boy, homeboy, Derek B-Man Bozeman, who is a community activist. But you know, me and Derek go toe to toe, and when I call in, he won't receive my call when he on his thing. You know what I'm talking about? But again, we'll go from there. But they've got, of course, Mary Gill on the weekend, and they got the real man, the Auto Insider, is also on the weekends. You know what I'm talking about? Daryl Killian, and he doing what he do. Now, and let me say this before I read this document to show you, because see, the question I have on the debtor's prison, what is it that you value? What is it let me find out what it is. Oh, what is the reward for you for living in America? What is the reward for you for living it? Because many of you think the reward is watching these women walk around in their drawers and underwear. That's what you do. You say, oh man, in America they got all these fine women. It's a reason why they got the women walking around in their drawers, in their stockings, in their underwear, so that you can get into that trap. They got all the breasts hanging out. They got these tight pants on. And guess what? Now you got Hillary getting ready to come in and follow biblical prophecy. They say it was a woman that was going to be riding the beast. And she getting ready to ride this thing. See, when the teachers that were in the CRTC scandal went to jail, all the brothers came out to fight for them and so forth. You didn't find the womenist group came out, did they? Not one feminist organization. What about the LGBT perverts and deviants? They didn't come out. They marched by the thousands for themselves, but none of them came out for the teachers being incarcerated, did they? It's a reason for all that. Now, the other thing, Dr. F. Keith Slaughter, show you what you get in America, where our daughters are right now. He had an 11-year-old young lady that he was interviewing. This young lady was this girl, she's a little girl, she's 11 years old. Dr. Slaughter is 54 years old, you understand? And this little girl, even albeit she was very articulate, what we get in America with our daughters is arrogance and pride. And they think because they make a little money, and she had an online fashion show that she was doing. So Dr. Slaughter was he's very manable and peaceful. He's a warrior now, but he was dealing with this because her mama was there and a few of her friends. And what this Dr. Slaughter was telling her was a story about when he was young. He said, when I was young, there was this girl bigger than me in my class, and blah, he was talking about when he was in elementary school. This little girl, arrogant little girl, turned around and said, oh, you can't call her big. Wait a minute now. She on his show. He's a grown man. He's 54. She 11. But she had the nerve to tell him, you can't call a woman big. Why? Because your white slave master has indoctrinated these young children with the philosophy of white supremacy and this so-called being politically correct. She gonna interrupt him in telling this story and tell him what he can't say on his own show. He was very diplomatic. He didn't even address that issue. I'm addressing it because I come from the old school. That's what you're getting in America. Arrogant, sexualized females who think that this white man's system is going to protect them from the wrath of God. Now, let me go back to the story that when I Googled the percentage of black men in, I said in Atlanta, but that are incarcerated for child support, and I also wanted to do that for domestic violence. Well, what came up was this story about a white boy. I Googled about black folks and what they got on this, the story that was about a white boy. It was, if you Google MSNBC, the author of this story is Mike Bunker. MSNBC, Mike Bunker. And it is entitled, Unable to Pay Child Support. Poor Parents Land Behind Bars. Let me read this to you. It says this. I said black man, but again, this story is about a white boy. But we know who they really targeting. Black men are being locked away without any regard for their ability to pay. sometimes without the benefit of legal representation. Randy Miller, a 39-year-old Iraq war vet, found himself in that situation in November when a judge in Floyd County, Georgia, sent him to jail for violating a court order to pay child support. See, this is what our brother Walter Scott was running from. He wasn't running from that police because he told him he had a broken light. He owed 18 stacks. Let me continue. He said he was stunned when the judge, of course, this is my opinion. Let me put that out there. He said he was stunned when the judge rebuffed his argument that he had made regular payments for more than a decade before losing his job in July 2009 and had recently resumed working. It didn't matter to the judge. He had already decided to lock him up. That's the same way they do with us. Time we walk in the court chamber, they know they're going to put us in jail. He said he spent 3 months in jail before being released, and this is the caveat. See, Whitey gonna fight against Whitey. This is what he did when he got released, even though he was a poor white boy. He and 6 other plaintiffs have filed a class action lawsuit. What is the lawsuit gonna do? He filed it in March that seeks to force the state of Georgia to provide lawyers for poor non-custodial parents facing the loss of for failing to pay child support. See, this is how Whitey do, because he created this corrupt system, so now he's getting ready to fight that corrupt system. The other aspect of this debtor's prison, which we are in America, is a penal colony. That's what America was set up for from the beginning. Yeah. And it's still that. Okay? Now, what is languishing in jail for weeks and months and sometimes over a year, these black men share one trait besides being in jail: poverty. They went to jail without ever talking to an attorney. In essence, you're told that you're innocent until proven guilty. For us and for people with child support, you're guilty until you pay that money. Now, it says, and only with the consent of one person, that's the female who went to bed consensually with you to conceive that baby, so they could put you in jail if you didn't pay that ransom. That's what it is. It says, according to the law filed by the nonprofit Southern Center for Human Rights in Atlanta. You all need to get with this. It's the Southern Center of Human Rights in Atlanta has filed a lawsuit for the benefit of poor people. Walter Scott owed $18,000. Now, the story of why he ran has not been told, and the story of black men jailed for sharing their love through sex has not been told, and the cost to black men in America. Well, we're going to talk about this thing today. You know what I'm talking about? And I want you to talk about it. 770-559-2999. Now, the issue has to do with this. Hillary Clinton, and if you Google the Clinton clan, they built more prisons under their administration than they ever built. And y'all love that white boy. And because he was playing a saxophone. Right. See, the lie that they tell us is that they are for us. But the truth is they killing us, they putting us in jail, mama and them is okaying it, and then they go to the political pundits and vote for you to go to jail. And you still down with it. The ones that's up under their mama's dress tail and don't have anything other to gird them up like the word of truth. And people in media that will tell you the truth. Well, I'm not sold and bought by media. I'm bought by the Most High in the blood of Yahshua the Lamb after the days of unleavened bread. And in time, I may receive the same result that the Messiah did, because they killing off everybody that's dealing with the truth. Now, let me read this to you in Proverbs chapter 5 before we get to this powerful panel right here. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I'm back. We fired up. It's going down. It's on and popping. That's right. Hero Yah. In Proverbs chapter 5, it speaks on this wise. My son, attend to my wisdom, and bow down thine ear to my understanding, that you may regard discretion, and that your lips may keep knowledge. For the lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb. When you first meet her, boy, she's sweet as honey, ain't she? Yes, sir. That thing is popping, ain't it?
Yes,
that
sir.
snapper,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
yeah. And her mouth is smoother than oil. But when her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword, her feet go down to the depth of hell to take on. Wait a minute, let me read that again. Her feet go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell. Lest you should ponder the path of life. Her ways are movable, that you cannot know them. Hear me now, therefore, O you children, and depart not from the words of her mouth. Remove your way far from her, and come nigh to the door of her house, lest you give your honor to others, and your years to the cruel. Lest strangers be filled with your wealth, and your labor be in the house of a stranger. See, there are dual prophecies here because there's spiritual connotation and natural. The spiritual side is talking about the apostate Christian church and the strange woman that respects the authority of idols and idolatry, which many of you just participated in with practicing Easter or Ostra, the spring equinox. But the natural connotation is the woman who's out there dressed like a hoe, walking like a hoe, talking like a hoe. Guess what? It must be a hoe. And many of you fathers are allowing your daughters to dress like that, to trap young men who are not looking from the spirit, not looking from that third eye, but from the natural. Hey, I'm weak. I'm a man. When I see a beautiful, fleshly, well-proportioned woman, I'm susceptible too. But at the end of the day, if somebody don't warn you what's really going on, see, a treasure is something that's hidden. It is something that you can't go out and see all the cracks and crevices in her behind and her panty line because she want to wear everything tight. It is the beauty of her spirit, the dedication of her loyalty to her creator, and her ability to be trusted. Not when she lay down with you, go to the killer and have you go and be incarcerated or killed. So I guess the mother of Walter Scott gonna have to get her money off the gravestone. Now, to this powerful panel rat chair. To my right, you know who he is. Author, entertainer. I say author, he's the author of his own individual works. He is an actor. He is a researcher. You know who he is. Vincent Cheeks.
Peace, 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 peace and
And
blessings.
to his right, he's back. Lord have mercy. We ain't seen him in a minute, but he's a staple on this show for over a decade or thereabouts. Somewhere, I don't want to put no number on it, but for a long time. It is Prince Zebekiah. Brother, I am honored to be in your presence. The Most High had brought you at a most esteemed time. You know, we just had the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to come on deck right at ITC. He carries a powerful weight in the city. However, we'll leave it right there. Now, let me start with this young brother right here, because I want you to be, you heard me, I want you to hear this brother's perspective, and then I want you to cap it all off with your perspective. Again, 770-559-2999. This thing is on and popping. Now, Vince, you've heard the lamentations of the people. What say you about Walter Scott and this issue of child support?
Man, you touched on a lot of good points, my brother. The issue of Walter Scott, man, I was just looking at an article which stated that 1/8 of South Carolina inmates are in jail over child support right now. And as you said, brother, Walter Scott was one of them, owing $18,000. He had previously gone to jail in 2008 for 6 months I guess that's when he initially fell behind $6,800. So they put the man in jail for 6 months for $6,800. He gets out. I think he said he went back once or twice in 2011 and 2012. Not for as long, but he did go back for child support to jail. So, of course, when he gets pulled over last week,
Right.
And the cop is running his name, you know, of course, going through his head is, man, all right, he already knew he had a warrant out for child support, and he was like, man, I'm not about to go sit back in this box.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because, like you said, the white man has created this system to keep black men mainly in this debtor's prison system that you talked about. And so, of course, instead of going back to jail for child support, he ran.
Exactly.
That was his first instinct. He ran. And so not only did he end up dying in the end of this confrontation between him and Mr. Slager, if you will, the killer, the murderer, Officer Slager, like you said, pulled him over illegally.
Exactly.
He said his third brake light was out.
Right.
I don't even know what that is, but in the state of South Carolina, you only need 1 or 2 tail lights. So, and he was in compliance with that. So, I was watching CNN the other day, and they were talking about how black men get pulled over all the time for trivial, minute, or even non-existent, in this case, traffic stops.
Right.
And it's essentially a way of profiling and harassing black men. And so again, everything goes back. Everything goes back to the system.
Yes.
You know, you have to look at the system and see about what can be done to the system as a people. And you mentioned earlier, they always tell us to go run out and vote.
Right.
I believe Barack Obama been in office for two
almost
terms.
A decade.
You know what I mean? He been in office almost 2 terms. He was supposed to be our real first.
The reason for change.
Black president, right?
Yeah.
But black men, unarmed black men, are still getting shot down, like you said, worse than animals. And even to that note, San Francisco Police Department is now being investigated because over the past couple of weeks, it's come out that their officers send racist texts back and forth to each other. And one of the texts stated that one of the officer's wife's friend was coming over, and the friend was married to a black man.
Right.
And the officer was like, I don't know if he comes over and his beast nature starts to come out. I don't know, he's gonna be in my house, what should I do? And the other officer responded, well, there are no laws against killing animals. So do what you feel you have to do to protect your house.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's how a lot of these officers feel that are so-called protecting and serving our communities.
Yes,
you know, because a lot of these racist officers, they're patrolling our community.
Absolutely.
And they're walking around, like in the San Francisco case, with these preconceived notions and preconceived thoughts about black men.
Yes, sir.
And then how are you supposed to go in and so-called protect and serve this community that you view as less than animals?
Less than animals.
You know what I mean? And so, along with this police code, the blue wall of silence,
That's right.
There's this underlying underbelly of thought that black men are beasts and that they're lower than the low and that they have the free will and free range to do what they want to do to us with impunity.
Yes.
And I agree with you totally. Something needs to be done. I'm not exactly sure because the whole voting thing, again, and I want to direct this to President Obama, and I'm going to say this in the most respectful way possible because he also signed an executive order within the past couple of weeks that said anything on the internet that the government deems to be a threat
Like the officers.
to the government
Yes,
that
sir.
they can now come and arrest you. You know, they can view your Facebook page, your Instagram, your whatever social media you're on. If you say something on the cyber world that the government disagrees with, they can come and snatch you out of your home.
Yes,
and
sir.
so I say to Mr. Obama, you're signing all these executive orders for cyber threats,
Right.
for
Droning.
for allowing illegal immigrants to come over here and get college education. Can you please put something in effect, an executive order to stop these crazy white killer cops
Yes, sir.
from
Yes,
taking
sir.
out our unarmed black men? Like, I mean, I really need him to step up. Okay, he has, what, a year left?
Yeah.
Basically a year left before he's out of office.
Yeah.
You're signing out these executive orders. Do something about this epidemic going on across this country.
Yes, sir.
That stated, the statistics have said in the first 3 months of 2015, the cops in America have killed more people than ISIS has.
Yes, well, every 8
So-
hours, another brother is killed. We're getting ready to go to the phones, and let me just say this. They also have statistics that for our daughters who are complicit with this killer mentality in high school, they are the first one to be penalized.
Right.
And they are more than 80% over white women to be put out of school. Let's see if we can get this call in. 770-559-2999. Call.
Yes.
Your name, question, or comment.
Brother Gideon.
Yes.
Yes, Brother Gideon. This is Lowdown the Barbarian, leader of WAS, deprivated original world Nubians, the black activist revolutionary breaking America's racial injustice and neglect. There was a saying that goes, create the woman, rule the woman, rule civilization. A black woman has become a perpetuator of this white American system based upon their illiterate concern for protection. What they don't realize is that when the stuff hits the fan, they'll never have the protection that they think they'll have. They'll run to us to cover them and to be their covering. America has did an injustice to our people, and we can never owe them anything when our great-grandfathers built the foundation of this country in slavery, within bondage. We can never owe them anything. So all of my brothers that have that price tag of child support hanging over your head, never mind it. They'll get paid by God when the time is due. Other than that, we should never worry ourselves and concern ourselves with what we owe them. We should concern ourselves with what we think they owe us. And most definitely, they owe us liberation. And through atonement, that liberation will be given by God Almighty. It was once upon a time when the welfare system told the black woman, eliminate the black man from the family household and the nucleus of the family.
Sure did.
Eliminate the black man from the household and the upstanding ship of the family, and we'll give you something. And now, only now, the price tag has been given to us. We owe them with the support and the benefit of our children, so they indoctrine what they would call a systematic plan to destroy at the basis, to destroy at the root what they've always wanted to do, brother. And if you want to censor me, you can find me on YouTube, Lowdown Barbarian. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
caller.
Thank you for that one, brother. Let's go to the resident elder of the Hero Yacht program, Prince Zebekiah.
No, my brother, how are you?
Oh, brother, I ain't doing too good, but we know these are the things that the Creator said would happen. Speak to us.
Exactly. One of the things that's wrong, and we need to begin to understand, when we talk about slavery and we talk about incarceration and the things that are being presented and thrown at us, you know, a long time ago, you know, we just came from a season in our culture, which was called the Passover, which lasted for 7 days. And in that instruction, okay, there were certain things taught us as the children of Israel that the Creator introduced himself
Right.
to us between that period of Passover and the period of Shavuot,
Yes,
which
sir.
is the the day in which Yah created the law, or gave an instruction. And when we begin to understand that, we begin to look at what's going on in this world today. We are captive.
That's
we
right.
were brought here to this country, not to be part of the country,
Right.
Right.
but to be a servant unto the country, to build the land and continuously work the land
Right.
for the benefit of our oppressor.
That's right.
When we begin to understand that, and take it to its root, that reasoning has put us in that position because we violated something. We left the instruction given to us by the Creator.
That's right.
The problem that's going on now is that we've been locked away, turned away from the knowledge of connecting with the Creator, and we don't rely on Him no more.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay?
Or we rely on their creator.
or we,
Exactly.
or we relying on what they have tried to introduce to
Right.
us as being the Creator. But know for surely, they know,
Yes.
Oh yeah.
all right,
They know.
that this power does exist.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
They just have kept us so divided about it.
Mm.
Okay, even with dealing with the slave situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when, according to our culture, if I took a slave into my home
Yes, sir.
and he came in and he had a wife, he brought the wife with him, she was able to leave.
Yes, sir.
When he comes into my home and I supply him the wife, which America does really supply our women,
Yes.
quote,
Yes, sir.
and when when the final analysis comes and I decide to leave, that woman and the children belong to the oppressor
Yes, sir.
or to the slave master.
That's right.
Under that note alone,
Yes, sir.
child support is his responsibility. So
Teach.
when we talk about
Come on.
in terms of the laws that were introduced in terms of child support and all these issues, if we take it up under the note, as you said earlier, America is in debt to
Yes.
the country, to the world,
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
right? First of all, we were chattel anyway.
Right.
Still are.
And we still are.
Still are, right.
So the responsibility of what goes on about this child support activity, which has been presented to us, unquote, without our knowledge of us having a power or a force to turn to.
Exactly.
But if we study the Passover, we find out that Yah, the creator of heaven and earth, sent an angel before us. Okay? And that angel this past Friday night,
Yes, sir.
all
Yes,
right,
sir.
reigned through Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
All right? This is what they need to be afraid of. Our children needed to identify and know to whom they belong and know how to call upon them.
That's
and
right.
why you're calling upon them.
That's right.
See, so he said, I've sent that angel before you to protect you.
Right.
You know, I was observing this picture that Cecil B. DeMille wrote, right? And
Cecil
picture-
B. DeMille.
Cecil B.
Yes, sir.
DeMille's brought out.
Yes, sir.
And for the first time when I looked at it, the reasoning for them putting this film together,
Ten Commandments.
well, the Ten Commandments, it was putting them together to show that servant and master,
Yes, sir.
and to identify that so it be prevalent in everybody's mind throughout
Exactly.
the earth.
Yes, sir.
Under that understanding, we find that the slave master that they brought, the slaves that they brought here, happened to be the same children that were talked about in the Passover.
Yeah, exactly.
Telling them that your name will be removed from you, all right? All these things that are transpiring are things that are instituted in the book of Deuteronomy 28th chapter,
Absolutely.
as well as Leviticus, the 26th chapter.
Yes, sir.
And it explains why we're in these conditions.
Yes,
Our
sir.
problem is our ministers and leaders have not understood that to be able to say, let's return back to the laws and instruction that the Creator gave to us.
Yes, sir.
By doing this, now we acknowledge that we belong to a higher power. We're acknowledging and calling upon His name properly.
Yes, sir.
See, like if you got a name, Gideon,
Yes, sir.
if I call Vince and looking at you, I'm trying to talk to you, are you going to answer?
No, sir.
So what they have done is systematically taking the word and understanding and calling upon the Creator of heaven and earth out of our mindset,
Exactly.
out of our mind thinking.
Right.
Yes,
So
sir.
now we're looking down to a man as being God,
As
the Creator of
God.
heaven and earth.
Right.
Yes.
Now, from beginning of time, this is, if you study the scriptures in any kind of form or fashion, you know that this is a tale.
Yes, sir.
And Moshiach, as we talk about, Yahshua ben Yosef,
Yes,
he never said anything about he was Yah,
That's right.
right?
That's
So
right.
why are you calling upon him instead of calling upon the creator of heaven and earth?
Teach.
When we begin to understand those factors will allow us to do the proper thing. All right? Passover meant redemption.
Yes, sir.
And hopefully I can convey this to all you young men out there.
Come on.
Acknowledge who you are, return unto your creator.
Yes, sir.
Okay? And then sit down and allow him to take charge over your life and begin to deal with the issues, even your enemy.
Yes.
He said, I sent an angel before you to keep you in the way.
Right.
Know that that angel does exist. And when you understand that, then they begin to have to back up, because to wipe out a whole family with cancer overnight,
Yes, sir.
all right,
Yes,
that's
sir.
the kind of power that this power is able to demonstrate.
Right.
Yes, sir.
All right? And they know verbatimly all over this earth, the medical system is in chaos.
Yes, sir.
They know also that the diseases are coming back up like almost like they did when
Absolutely.
they tell the story in Egypt.
Yes, sir. The plague.
The plagues that are
Plagues,
falling.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
They know this, and they're looking for a savior. They're looking for one out of the way.
Come on.
And in the scriptures it says salvation is of who? Of the Jews. Of
That's
the
right.
children that they putting their foot on.
Yes, sir.
So what they need to do is sit down and begin to think, begin to understand that the scriptures were here not just for us,
Yes, sir.
but for the entire world,
Yes, sir.
to return back to the creator of heaven and earth. So when we understand, when we look through this whole process, and I know the brothers and sisters will talk about, well, we don't believe in that, and
Right.
But what else do you believe in? Show me something else that can overcome when you've seen manifestations, right? Like when Katrina came to America.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
Right? When
Right.
you've seen powers that only can be handled by a force greater than any man,
That's right.
all right, and be able to acknowledge that. So when I look at my brothers and sisters, and I see my children, I see the people, police running down on them, stand still. Moses was told, take the shoes off your feet.
Yes, sir.
Stand, don't run. Stand still, put your hands up and just stand still. And
That's
call
right.
on your God, call on your creator. And call on him as the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac,
Come on.
the God of Yaakov,
Yes, sir.
Yahweh or Yahweh, right? And know that he is there and
Yes,
he's
sir.
capable of handling your situation. So my brother, that's the synopsis of what I see.
Yes, sir.
And I constantly am telling people, I tell young men, look, man, you ain't no Crip.
Yes, sir.
You ain't no blood. Okay? That's some stuff created by the Italians, really.
Yes, sir.
All right? So now, if you begin to deal with that, find out to whom you belong.
Yes, sir.
You're the child of the living God, the God of heaven and earth that created this earth that you're walking on. So that's my synopsis. I don't, when you think about it. tell the
Praise
people.
Yah. Praise Yah. Go ahead, Vince. Jump in here. 770-559-2999. 770-559-2999. Holla at your people. Go ahead, boss.
I wanted to touch on something that Prince said about the disconnection from the Creator that they have manipulated
Yes, sir.
and thrown upon us. And it's only that connection that he's talking about that is going to bring you out of whatever trials or whatever it is you may be going through. And I say that from personal experience,
Yes, sir.
because when I went through my situation with the child support system,
Yes, sir.
if I had not been on my spiritual path,
Come on. Come on.
I probably would not be sitting in this chair today because,
Right.
like I told you before the show, I honestly believe that the child support system was created to drive black men crazy.
Yes, sir.
Like literally drive them crazy.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna share a bit of my story. I was on unemployment back in 2008.
Yes, sir.
And unemployment, I was getting my check direct deposited into my bank account.
Right.
I went on a Monday afternoon, checked my bank account. I had $150 in there, right? I go the next day to try to make a $9 purchase at a grocery store,
Right.
and it said declined. So I'm confused and befuddled. And so I call my bank, and I get this little automated voice telling me that your bank account is now negative $52,000 something dollars and 62 cents. Okay?
My God.
Negative 52,000 and some change.
Yes, sir.
And I was sitting in my car, and I dropped my phone.
Right.
And I went through this bit of a whirlwind thing in my head, and I just
Yes, sir.
anger, rage. I can't even
Yes.
call it anger. It was rage
Yes,
bubbling up
sir.
inside of me, and I just started. I started punching my steering wheel, and I'm having all these crazy thoughts about, you know, my son's mother that I shouldn't be having, that
Right.
you know, way negative, because I know she's, but like you said, you know, they the main ones behind it, and
Exactly.
and running to these white court systems like,
Yes, sir.
you know, oh, save us, but they really doing the most and ultimate harm to the family
Exactly.
overall by
Incarceration.
taking the fathers out of the situation. And as of that moment, when I heard that call, I knew I was locked in a debtor's prison.
Exactly.
At that very moment.
That's
and that's
right.
the subject of this show. It's the debtor's prison. And I'm thinking to myself, once I finally calmed down and
Right.
was able to try to analyze the situation, how am I going to overcome this situation?
Right.
And so that was the first time dealing with child support that I almost lost it. And then I just read an article where they talked about a lot of men who go through this child support system, they will ultimately end up going underground
Exactly.
because they feel like they're being gouged by the system and treated
Right.
unfairly and this, that, and the other. And I guess you could say I did that because I haven't worked a regular job since 2010.
Right.
And that's because in the state I owe child support, I owe $80,000 for one child.
Oh my goodness.
For one child. And so the last job I had, they were literally taking 70% of my check. Okay, and when I called them to try to get it reduced and, you know,
Right.
let them know I can't live off of 70%. I was making, I think, $400 a week at the time, and they taking 70% of that.
Oh my goodness.
You know what I mean? And again, and then they do it through garnishment.
Yes, sir.
They just go to your job, they send a letter to your job, letting me know this is gonna happen, we're gonna take this much out of the
That's
check,
right.
and all we need you to do is let him know
Exactly.
that this is what we're doing.
That's
and
right.
so again, I'm getting garnished for 70% of my check. I can't even pay my bills now, and even less alone have food to eat.
Exactly.
And so again, you know, those thoughts start going to my head, like, man, I'm about to
Go Brian
you know,
Nichols
lose it.
on 'em.
And if I didn't have that connection, I think probably 3 or 4 years prior to all this happening, I had gotten saved and
Yes,
given
sir.
my life back to God and reestablished that connection
That's right.
that Brother Prince was talking about. And so in having that connection, learning the truth of myself,
Yes, sir.
learning the truth of my people and my God,
Yes, sir.
not only did it help me and does it still help me to deal with my trials and tribulations,
That's right.
but it's giving me
Internal
a truth,
peace.
right? Internal peace, because I have this ultimate truth that we've been manipulated into not knowing.
Exactly.
And once you start to regain that knowledge,
Yes, yes.
it does give you a sense of, I call it universal peace.
Yes, sir.
Because now I'm at a place where nobody can take my peace away from me.
Well, let's get ready to go back to the phones. And let me just say this to you. The churches are busting at the seams with sisters.
Right.
Busting at, and they
Most
so holy and righteous, you can't tell them nothing. But yet, they will put their sons in. And see, Mama and them is encouraging these daughters to go to the child support system.
Right.
That's why they're doing it. 770-559-2999. Caller, what is your name, question, or comment? Caller? Speak to us, caller.
Yes, brother. I just wanted to touch up on a similar situation.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, caller.
They garnished my check for child support, and at the time, the owner of the company had let me know that he realized that I couldn't live off the wages that they were paying me, and I told him, and this is a black man, that I know what their intent is. Their intent is to break my spirit,
Right.
but that'll never happen, regardless of how much debt they say I owe, regardless of how much they say I must pay to get freedom from them.
Right.
I know that I didn't come here free. So I'm not really worried about what they best may be. I even allowed the caseworker to know that I know what you'll do if I don't pay it. You'll say the first thing out your mouth, well, you know you'll go to jail. And I explained to the lady, well, I'm in America, so I'm already in jail. So it really ain't nothing that's going to be changed.
That's right.
And all I want you to know is that I seek is what I seek, and it's liberation. And the only way that I'll gain liberation is through atonement, sacrificing my soul, my spirit, and my essence to that of God, and not allowing this people here to break me. And that'll never happen.
Yes, sir. Praise the Creator. 770-559-2999. I know you watching the show. You understand? It ain't nothing about no brag. I know it's fact.
Right.
Call in and holler at your people. Because, see, this is reflective of the systematic destruction of a mighty and the holy people.
Right.
And that's what the book, that Black Sun, he said, you need to read the destruction of black civilization, where you live in it, you watching it, they're encouraging it, and they're promoting it in on this rap videos. They're promoting it in the way the rap songs. They are not only, I'm saying it's all bad, it ain't, but there's an image that they have created, a profile, and they also control the conversation of our people about our people. And who is raising these killer cops? Remember now, it was a brother with this killer Slager who went and helped to construct a lie that was totally about the destruction of this brother. Right. It was a brother that killed Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old. You understand? It was brothers, so-called. And they got mamas and daddies. What mindset is it that creates this type of killer mentality for their own people? Come on here, boss.
You know, amongst the children of Israel, at one time, the police came from the priesthood.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Why would they come from the priesthood? Because the priesthood begins to have value and put value in the mind about life.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
Now, all the policemen that they're raising now are coming from dollars, an educational system that's leading you away from God.
That's right.
That's number two.
That's right.
So when we begin to look at what has to be reevaluated, okay, is to go back into the law.
That's
Our law says even the king, which means President Obama,
that's right.
Right, the king, all right, of this land should write the law, right, in order to govern the people.
Yes, sir.
And these laws are there taught on their benefit. One of the things that I would suggest that people do tonight, open your scriptures.
Yes, sir.
To the book of Exodus, start at the 12th chapter. And read through the 16th chapter.
Come on.
And begin to understand what is being said here.
Yes, sir.
Because it's something for you to know, and to know how the Creator operates on your behalf once you return to Him.
Yes, sir.
You know, when Moses gave on Moses' deathbed, or before he died, he was giving Israel a sense of direction.
Yes, sir.
But he said, but after all this comes upon you, the blessings and the curses.
Come on.
If you just bethink yourself in the land that you scattered to, and turn unto me, then what? I will return unto you. And that's our whole essence of everything that we're talking about today. We need to know to whom we belong.
That's right.
All right? We need to know where we stand. And we stand in love and truth, and being truthful to ourselves, that God is there.
That's right.
And He would answer your call.
Yes, sir.
Greater than they think that can happen. And the scripture testifies to that.
That's right.
It talks about what was done in Egypt. It talks about the angel going before you.
That's right.
And so I'm saying to everyone, see, I'm concerned about our youth.
Yes. Woo, you got
because
sons like I do.
number one, if they out in the street, and myself.
Yes, sir.
But see, my thing is this: I'm gonna call upon my Creator. You
Come
handle
on
it.
now. Yes, sir.
Right.
You handle it from there, my man. Because my God is God.
Yes, sir.
All right. So what I'm saying to my youngsters that are out there, that are being tricked because they've been developed into a pariah, as Reagan said at one time. The enemies is up on us. The animals is up on us. You used the term a little while ago.
Exactly.
All right. Well, they created this animal.
They sure did.
Okay. So now what we got to do, our teachers and leaders got to begin to gather us out of the animal state and put us back in the spiritual state to teach us how to call upon the Creator.
That's right.
And to call upon Him in what? In spirit and in truth. So that they would know that they got a place, they got a healing. And that's all we need to understand.
But let me ask you this, Elder, because again, next week, they're getting ready to pass sentence on the teachers, the miseducators, And of course, we know that the curriculum that Whitey set before us has his story in it, not ours.
Exactly.
What are your thoughts about the implications of
Listen.
these individuals getting 20 years for doing what Whitey told them to do?
See, first of all, number one, that case should have been dropped.
Exactly.
When it's like President Obama is in charge of this government, right?
Come on, come on.
Something happened within the government. He knows he's blamed.
He
The
gonna
buck
take it.
stops
Right,
with
right,
him.
right.
Well, the buck was supposed to stop with Beverly Hall.
Beverly Hall, right.
And once Beverly Hall deceased,
Yes, sir.
then it was cases should have been dropped.
Right.
Okay, that's dealing righteously.
Yes, sir.
The cases should have been dropped. The other thing that the caution of our people, though, what they should have did is admitted, because they knew what was going on.
They knew.
All right.
Still
Many
going
of
on.
some people made up their mind to say, hey, okay, I don't want to go through all this. I pleaded guilty.
Most people took the plea.
Took the
21
plea.
people, yes.
Exactly.
All right. They should have thought enough, but see, what they were thinking about was their dignity. They were thinking
Exactly.
about
Ego,
their-
arrogance,
their
and
ego,
pride.
Yeah,
and
that
ego
ego.
system, and how much money they're gonna have now as opposed to what they were getting then.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And had they thought about that, all right, then they would openly say, hey, well, okay, this is the final day. We blow the case. We just before they started to send the jury out. Look, we surrender.
That's
we,
right.
We were guilty.
Right.
We feel that we were guilty. Then now there's a judgment or judgment call on them from that point.
Yes, sir.
All right? And they might have found themselves not having to go through this change. I still fault the situation because, number one, like I said, she was in charge. That was her call
Right.
in that position.
Right.
All right? And yet the Creator removed her from the earth.
Moved her out of the
Out
way.
of the earth so that who was going to be hurt? Nobody else should have been hurt.
Right.
That was his judgment. He made the judgment. He made the judgment call because she was in the position to re-educate, to show people, show the children how to get to you know, to acknowledge the things that were important to them and to their God.
Yes, sir.
Number one, they took God out of school.
Took him out.
So there are problems here.
Yes, sir.
And the Creator answered that. Okay? The people who got caught up in it and are caught up in it, they should have their lawyers.
Yes, sir.
All right? Make an appeal and then take the plea.
Yeah, they're going to have to do an appeal.
As a former educator, as our time winds down here, we got about 3 minutes, I believe.
Okay.
What would be your perspective on this debacle?
Man, I'm a little torn on this situation because I have personal experience. I worked in the Atlanta public school system. This whole cheating scandal is the reason why I quit in 2005 because I knew something was wrong with it back then and I didn't want to be a part of it. And so when I quit in 2005, I've had this, I don't know, something inside me that wanted to see the people perpetrating this crime punished.
Right.
Because they knew what they were doing it for money, and I thought it was absolutely sickening. Now, on the other hand, last week or 2 weeks ago when I found out that they were facing 20 years for what they did, when they were murderers, rapists, pedophiles.
Exactly.
There's a teacher that up in New York, he molested few children. He got 10 years probation.
See, what about the white girls that been going to
the
bed
white
with
girl,
all the
the
children?
white girl sleeping. One of the white teachers recently sentenced to probation.
Right.
The judge said to her, or he said aloud in court, what young boy wouldn't be able to resist that piece of candy?
No,
He's condoning what happened.
That's exactly what
And
he was
so
doing.
for these black teachers to be vilified and condemned,
Then
like
you had
said,
Doherty County that was doing the same thing
Right.
in other counties that they didn't even bring up on
it was
charges.
happening all across the country.
Yes, sir.
And other DC, Philly, and there was another place.
New York.
They only got New York. They only got fired, and
Right.
their teaching certifications taken away. So why here in the dirty South,
Right.
Georgia, do these black teachers have to have
With
the
that
book thrown
arrogant
at them?
judge. That-
Right.
you
The
see
judge
that
was
judge?
you guys are just felons, and I'm disgusted with you. The judge was.
Off the chart.
Yeah, and so seeing how they're being vilified by this crooked system kind of make me scale back on the level of punishment I wanted to see them with.
Right,
And
right.
so I do feel like something needs to be done. I signed a petition last week saying that that sentence needs to be greatly reduced, and
Right.
Most definitely.
hopefully some justice will come out of this travesty.
You know, we want to thank you all once again for those who participated and for the many of you who've just watched. But see, that's exactly what the problem is. We watching Whitey kill us. We watching Whitey miseducate us.
Right.
We watching our daughters go out and support these killers. We watching our sons go out and entertain these killers and then end up being perpetrators of crimes as a result of their indoctrination. We're watching the gods of the white man being forced on us, and we're watching ourselves go down the moral tube like we flush that crap down every day when we set off that pot. We need to watch as well as pray. We need to become active in a spiritual sense because we can't change this killer. You can vote for this killer all day, but all he knows, just like a pit bull, all he knows is the killer instinct that's in him. And he's going to do, and this system is going to do what it was designed to do, to keep a permanent underclass, to make us howl and moan because the Creator has destined us. We're in a prison colony. We're in a debtor's prison because of what our ancestors said and what our ancestors did. And like what Prince Zebekiah said, when we acknowledge our sins and the sins of our forefathers and return to our Creator Yah in the name of his anointed son Yahshua, he will return to us and we will return to our land. I just want to thank you for allowing a po-colored country boy, cotton picker, to come before you, and the princes that the Most High has allowed. And I look forward, if it be the Most High's will, to see you next week. Peace, in the Middle East, in your hearts, and right here. And let your heart not be troubled, because this too shall pass. We out. Peace. We ain't all the way out, but we will be in just a minute. Peace. Go ahead and make any concluding comments that you want to make.
In my conclusion, fear God and keep his commandments.